Jesus, I'm not even showered.
All right, we are live on the YouTube.
Woohoo! Hi, YouTube.
Hey.
Welcome to Sundays over here. Was it collaborating with artists and entertainers?
Collaborating with artists and entertainers. This is my, oh good, you can't really, can you see my phone? Oh yeah, you can, look at that. Just put it right here. So when I do talk.
Was it the benefit of loyalty, the artist's part of
What?
Was it just
Jesus. Don't you know anything?
I don't know,
It's the value of loyalty.
Got shot in the eye with a laser.
Why? Who lasered you?
You!
How?
For your mouse.
What are you talking about?
Ah!
Oh my god, there's a fucking laser. Anyway,
And that's how JD went blind.
what's going on?
Oh, Jesus. At least now I can be like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek and get one of those cool visor things.
Oh yeah, you could totally do that. Can't wait.
Alright.
Wait, do it again, please. I'm trying to get more center.
I had a move.
There we go.
Right. Now we're gonna go do it on Twitter because we gotta do the social medias.
Twitter. Ooh, your phone is making a chickle channel.
Oh, sorry.
Shit, it doesn't matter. We're not using any of this.
Disc is too small. But it's
We're not using any of this in the front product.
Alright. Well, this stopped. So let me see what the hell's going on. Why you're being.
Ugh.
See it in your eyes. So let's delete what I have here.
Hey everyone, feel free to ask questions about the topic at hand, which is about collaborating with artists and entertainers, and also the value of loyalty. If you have questions about working with people in the business and how how it can benefit you, but also the other person, and if it benefits them at all, or is it more about you? Is it more about you? Is it more about what's the deal? What is the deal? Dealing with JD.
Hashtag what the crap.
JD, McGibney, and another Sunday podcast. Questions I answered. I don't make this stuff up, but we love
Do you?
questions. The artist. Oh, who's that?
I believe it is the things. Keep moving the thing.
Who moved what? The dogs did that. I walked around the other way.
The dog moved it then.
He totally did.
There we go.
My name is JD.
You too. When did that happen?
What?
Ooh. So let's move this. Plug this in.
Why are you plugging it in?
Because the battery's been dying.
What happened?
Boop, 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 boop.
I messed up. I posted the wrong thing.
Oh no.
I'm gonna have to redo that.
Uh-oh.
Redo that.
Alright, we'll get that away from that. We'll get that away from that. We're good. Why? What would you do if I was saying that too much?
Lend me your ear and I'll
Sing a song.
sing.
That's just
Jesus, these fucking horns.
It's really gonna be annoying.
Yeah.
Good news is,
What is it? Hey.
la 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 la, real talk. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, baby, I love your way. Yeah, BBR. Ask questions about the topic. Yeah. What are you doing?
Here, hold on a second.
You know what you need?
Something here.
You know those things like that?
You did.
Oh, Jesus.
But
I can feel the heat. It's just weird. Oh, Jesus. I'm holding this thing. What's going on? Hey. 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 Hey, what's that? Oh, that's interesting.
oops,
What happened?
almost threw everything over.
You're right, you want to talk about it?
Banana now.
Come on, talk about it. How long is this going to take?
And we're gonna
Hey, let me see what microphone.
let's
That's right.
hit the record button.
You haven't been recording?
It stopped. We decided to go, hey,
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
not gonna work.
How about now?
So now it's plugged in.
Is it working? Is it overheating?
It was overheating. But
Why?
now, because
Why is it overheating?
it decided to be overheated.
What made it overheat?
You.
Oh, that's on.
Ooh.
Ooh, let's go.
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
Get on it?
So, what's a chorus?
Man, it's a bunch of people singing together going,
Oh my God, please don't. That's not the answer. That's not the answer. That is a form of chorus, but not that one.
It's usually what you have in your elementary school and they make you go learn how to sing together and go like, oh yeah, everyone's singing together.
I was asked to be in chorus because the teacher heard me talking in class from down the hall, and she's like, "You need to be in chorus," and I was like, "I'm not gay." And obviously, I was like 10. Yeah, so I was brought up in that culture. And anyway, so then I ended up doing it. It was like the greatest thing in the world.
Like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a singer one day.
No, I just like the camaraderie, and which brings us actually to the topic at hand, which is ultimately collaborating with artists and entertainers and the value of loyalty. There are two different subjects that both work with each other.
We don't make this stuff up either.
No, but I don't make this stuff up, and I know that we don't make this stuff up. Sometimes you do make up some things, and then the dog has to correct you, and then you're like, "Can we delete that later?" I said, "Absolutely not," and then I don't, which is good for the audience, because as many of you have seen and heard, the show is basically I'm the expert because I have the years. And JD is the artist.
I mean, I do paint with my imagination.
Yeah. Which means he's not an expert. He just likes making art.
I do like making the art.
Makes art. But he's lived an artist's life longer than I have, so I like to go back to that world once in a while by asking JD questions, and then JD tells me answers. Then I correct him.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's part of my. It's actually the only way I can live. Normally, I'm suicidal 90% of the time, and then I'm like, JD, tell me how to be successful. And he goes, albums. And I go, oh, good. Now I have something to live for.
I have never said it Other than when I first met you.
Oh, see, now he's jumping off course. See, we had a
Going off the
conversation.
rails?
We had a conversation
On the
with him.
crazy train?
I said, hey JD, you got to yes and me, or the show's not going to work. And he was like, no, and I was like,
No, it's just the opposite of yes.
no, yes.
What?
See, I yes, you're no.
Oh.
You're quick to no. I'm always quick to can we make it a yes. I noticed that about you.
I'm quick to know, you're quick to the no.
I am quick to the no with a K, like a cano. I can
But-
know.
but-
I can know more
we
than
don't-
you say no.
We
to.
don't have any paddles for a canoe.
Well, it depends if there's a river or not. But my point is, would you agree that you fall to no quicker than I fall to? Do you fall quicker to no than I fall to no?
Yes.
By the way, that would have been a paradox. That was a conundrum. He was like, "How do I answer this without?" You instantly are wrong. The assumption is wrong if you said yes so quickly, because I was like, you jumped the no quicker and you're like yes. But it would indicate I may have been miss. No, but it's true. You're a no kind of person. No. Why is that? What brings you to that? Now, by the way, this has to do with artists collaborating with artists and entertainers. Have you always been that way? Have you always been a steadfast no kind of person?
Well, it depends on the situation. Like, what are we talking about?
Collaborating.
I have not always been a no kind of person. I think
Just
that
recently.
I'd say in the last 5 years.
How old are you? 32.
Yes.
So 30 years you've been doing this?
No, less than 30.
That's it. Look at that. Look,
No, because
he
it's
just
in the last 5 years.
You just jumped to no. You said
No,
no.
I did math.
What do you mean? No. Look, I can know.
The reason is
So let me hear this.
because I think when it comes to collaborating
Yeah.
artistically,
With who?
anyone.
Artists and entertainers. All right, go ahead. Let me hear this
My
story.
biggest thing is that
Yeah, what is it? Your biggest thing is huge.
what?
Carry on. Yes, sir.
It's just not a lot got done when I was in a quote unquote democratic band.
Oh.
So-
We're not talking about collaboration anymore when you say that. When you're talking about votes, democratic, and direction of a project. You're talking about collaborating, working together. And that's different than having a say.
Well, I thought we were talking specifically collaborating in an artistic venture.
I am, but we're not talking about a dictatorship or a democracy. We're talking about working together, which has nothing to do with.
Well, I'm giving you my answer. My
Oh, all
answer
right.
was dealing with artists, there was never any consensus on things being agreed upon easily or quickly, and then things being done in a somewhat timely manner. So usually, it ended up by the time I decided to just go here, this is what I want to do, and just tell people what I wanted to do artistically.
So you don't know how to collaborate.
Apparently not.
No, I'm just asking. I'm not making a judgment. I'm asking. You don't know how to collaborate, is what you're saying.
I feel like I like to collaborate very infrequently at this point.
This is.
It's not that I
correct
don't
me
know
if
how
I'm
to
wrong.
collaborate. I am correcting you right now.
I didn't
It's
finish.
not that I don't like. It's not that I don't know how to collaborate.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
that
yeah.
my experiences with collaborating have led to more frustration than
Well, let's go back. Going back. So, correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is the easiest way for you to collaborate is going, hey, let's work together. I finished this. What do you think?
No, I just go, let's collaborate. I'll do this, you do that, and I delegate.
But how often do you say those things clearly?
Apparently, with you, not often.
Or at all. But anyway, with collaboration, I think already we're starting off with art. You have artist brain. Your brain is seeing collaboration as something completely different than what I see collaboration as a business brain. And to clarify what I'm seeing when you talk, and not as a judgment, but for the audience to understand, is you're collaborating because you have a vision. And when other people aren't a part of that vision, you feel it's a bad collaboration. Right?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear this then.
If I go to someone with a collaboration, it's because I had an idea.
Okay.
I think of the idea makes me think of somebody specific. I'm like, oh, I would love to work with somebody on this thing. This is what I have already. I would approach them and be like, hey, this is what I have already. I would love to work with you on this project or that what I have.
Great.
This is what I'm thinking so far. This is what I feel you would,
And that's what makes it a bad collaboration.
No, this
Because
is
that's
in
what
my,
I'm talking about.
well, in my,
I said you come in with a clear, you work with people, let's say 5 people. And what I'm saying is the artist brain is your version of collaboration as per your story is ultimately you come in and you have 5 people that are working together or collaborating, right? And you have a clear vision of the artistic venture or whatever the deal is, but they're not necessarily on the same page with you, so you consider that a bad collaboration.
No.
Okay, well then explain that.
If I'm working with a steady group of 5 people, ideally, my idea of a collaboration would be someone in that group of 5 starts off with an idea. Doesn't matter if it's me, doesn't matter if it's any of the other 4.
And that makes it a bad collaboration.
That makes it, we don't be finished.
I want to know what a bad collaboration is, because you're telling me my description of your bad collaboration is wrong.
My bad collaboration would be someone comes in and goes, here's an idea, and goes, oh, what do you guys think? And everyone kind of just goes back and forth with ideas and just keeps staying in the idea stage, and nothing ever goes past the idea stage.
So that's a bad collaboration.
That's a bad collaboration.
Artistically, but not necessarily what a collaboration is in this discussion.
Well, that's a bad collaboration. Period.
For you.
For anybody, because
that's not a collaboration.
Well,
you're talking artistically, which is my point.
Well, it could be with a business venture as well.
But then that's not a collaboration the way you're talking.
Well, it's not. Oh, that rings a bell.
Oh, good. Is popcorn ready? I can sure use some.
Oh man.
Just so you want to eat this?
All right, so continue. What would?
Well, I have to clarify with the audience first, so we understand the artist position.
A bad collaboration is when people get together and nothing gets past the idea stage because no one ever takes the initiative to go, hey, let's move forward with what we have with these ideas.
Now, why is that?
Because nothing ever gets done.
Because no one's on the same page. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree.
All right. Did you hear what I said earlier?
I know there's a lot of stuff being said.
Where I said what I'm getting is basically your form of bad collaboration is when there are 5 people working together and you have a clear artistic vision, but no one is on the same page. That's a bad collaboration. You said no, and then you started explaining a good collaboration.
Well, no. See, you're saying that the focus is that I have to have the main focus, and that's not the case.
But that is the case because there's 5 people who feel exactly that feeling.
That is not the case, though.
All right, so then why can't it move forward?
Because
whose fault is it at that point if no one is choosing to move forward?
It is everyone's fault.
All right. Now, why is no one choosing to move forward?
I don't know.
Can't you be like, hey, I have this idea, let's do it?
Well, someone usually in any group ends up being the alpha and ends up taking control of the conversation or the collaboration or what have you. But if no one steps up in that collaboration and it just stays in the idea, then it just stays in the idea phase.
So that's a bad collaboration.
Yes.
And that's what you, as an artist, believe a collaboration is. Which is good. We need to know what you're doing. Artist collaboration. I'm going to be talking about collaborating with people, which is a whole other story.
All right, so then.
But no, we have to verify.
Then yes.
The artist work. So now you're agreeing with my version of bad collaboration.
My version of a bad collaboration is when no one takes the initiative and it just stays in the idea phase. That is the complete definition.
That is so. Everybody involved doesn't want to move forward.
Is unable to move forward.
Unable to move forward.
Yes.
So if you're working with somebody in your brain, a collaboration artistically, and you say, hey, I have these ideas, and that person goes, I don't like those ideas. That's a good collaboration.
No.
What? What if they say, I don't like your ideas, can we change it to my ideas?
Then we would go back and forth. If it works out.
And they go, great, but I like my idea, not your idea. Is that a good collaboration? Because we're moving forward.
If the group agrees that they want to move forward with, with not my idea, then yes, we'll move forward.
You'll agree with it?
Yes.
All right. So all you care about is if somebody just takes the reins and says, let's do this.
That is not all I care about, no.
All right, because that's not a collaboration. That's somebody going, hey, can you play my parts? If someone's like, hey, I want to play my thing, I don't care about any of yours, but at least we're moving forward. You're saying that's a good collaboration.
No.
All right, well, let's get back to that. We're trying to. By the way, this is not a judgment on you. We need the audience to understand what a bad collaboration is, so we can make a comparison. We have to create a baseline.
I'll give you 2 examples.
I was waiting for one.
I gave you, and apparently we're dancing around here. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, you're welcome to be wrong.
So a good collaboration would be 5 people getting together and writing a song from scratch, and then being able to move forward. So
that's a good collaboration.
That's a good collaboration.
What's a bad collaboration?
Let me do another good collaboration. Someone comes in.
Thanks for letting me come to Ohio for talking. We're asking you about abortion, and I love that you asked that question. But honestly, what's nice about the air?
All right, so a bad collaboration.
Oh, there we go. All right,
A bad
let's hear it.
collaboration
Let's hear it.
is when you have a group of people getting together,
How
like
many
I said
are there?
earlier,
5, 1.
and nothing happens. They just go, oh, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, this is a good idea, but they don't ever move forward. They never put anything together to create something artistic.
So
They
that's
never do anything to move forward with the project.
All right, you've already said that.
So that's a bad collaboration.
So I'm asking, my retort in the debate is, are you saying that if somebody says, all right, I hate all your ideas, this is the best idea, but at least I'm being proactive and moving us forward, this is the thing we're going to do, that's a good collaboration?
No, because that's someone just going to play my stuff. That's
All
not
right,
a
so what you're
collaboration.
saying is, your original description of what a bad collaboration is not a complete bad collaboration. It's a part of. That's what I'm trying to ask. Like, what defines a bad collaboration? You're saying it's defined by
Right,
not
so,
having motion.
A good collaboration with
Motion.
someone.
Does anyone have motion?
A good
I got
collaboration
motion on me.
would
It's keeping
be
my
a
skin
bass
dry.
player or a guitar player going, hey, I wrote a song, going up to a singer and going, hey, write lyrics and a melody on top of this. That'll be a good collaboration. Then
What
you
if the
have-
singer's good at, like in most bands, some singers or even drummers are good at going, you know what, let's arrange these parts.
Right, so then you
That's
arrange
fine.
it. That's a great
Yeah, I know.
collaboration as well.
All right, but we're talking about what makes a bad collaboration, and I just want to make sure, because if you're saying the be-all, end-all version of a bad collaboration is just there's no movement forward, what does that say for other forms of bad collaboration? I'm just trying to understand the core value of a bad collaboration, and not necessarily a specific, this is the bad collaboration, because I have already disproven that that's not the only kind of bad.
Well, I didn't say it was the only kind of bad. I'm saying that was one of the biggest things of this. If you're not able to put anything together and you're just like throwing out ideas, like that's a bad collaboration because nothing's getting done. But if you have someone literally just went, I wrote this song, I wrote this album, here, play it. That's not a collaboration. That's someone going, hey, I did all the work. That's it.
100%. So if someone comes to you with all the work done and they say, all right, I want you to sing on it, that's collaboration to you?
Well, did the person write lyrics yet?
Well, let's say they wanted to write lyrics, but then the person they're collaborating with says no without asserting some sort of maybe. Is that a bad collaboration?
I don't understand what you're saying.
So hypothetically
My
speaking,
question to you was, did the person who wrote the song also write the lyrics and go to someone and they wanted to sing and say, hey, I want you to sing the lyrics that I wrote and the melody that I wrote?
yeah, they said, here are my lyrics, and then the other person said no. Is that a bad collaboration?
So if someone wrote the song and the lyrics and went to somebody.
No. Let's say you wrote the song without any input from the other person, especially the lyricist who has to define the verses, the chorus, and also creates a lot of the melodies, which ultimately could influence the song's structure. And then you go, hey, I would love you to write and sing on this. And then they write lyrics or ideas for lyrics, and your initial response, and this is hypothetical, is no, not let's work it, let's hear what it sounds like. Hey, I can't even think of, we didn't even hit record on the videos.
That's funny.
And it's like, hey, there's no movement, as you're saying, to that conversation. It's just, no, I don't like these lyrics. Is that a bad collaboration? I just want it on audio. just for clarification for the audience. This is a completely made up scenario that JD and I had.
Well, it's a good thing that in this made up scenario, there would be open communication about rearranging.
Oh, I would like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my specific thing is, if they come to you with lyrics and the response is no.
Well, hypothetically, there were no lyrics brought forward.
Yes, there were. Hypothetically speaking, there was even a style of how the lyrics were presented.
Well, it's not my fault. It was a terrible style, hypothetically.
All right, but my point is, would that person saying no, instead of discussing the progression or the movement of making something work out of it, is that considered a bad collaboration?
Yes, because it was terrible communication.
Oh, good. Now I have this forever to use as defense. All right, I agree with you. I agree 100%. I don't think a bad collaboration is that there is no movement. I think a bad collaboration is the lack of willingness to listen. So that in my opinion, that's the core foundation of a bad collaboration. And by the way, that has nothing to do with creativity. A bad collaboration literally is the inability to listen and observe. A great leader does not make choices based on what they think is right. They make choices based on what they hear, and then they analyze it, and then they basically create a good plan. A leader knows how to create a plan based on how the vision of everybody involved, or if a leader comes in with a full idea and they say, I have this complete idea, but I want to work with you all because I have faith in you. I would like you a part of it. Their job as a leader isn't necessarily to take change in the creation of the idea from the other people, but to be willing to listen for that change. Meaning, if an idea comes out, it's not a strict, no, that's a bad idea. It's a, oh, let's see how we can do that. Oh, you know what? I didn't think of that marketing. How could that marketing work? But there is also, it comes down to experience. So obviously, if you go to Steve Jobs and you're like, Steve, I have a good idea for marketing. And he goes, let me hear that. And you tell him, and he's like, no, that's a terrible idea. He has the right to say that because he's Steve Jobs. He's like a marketing genius.
Was.
No, he's hanging out with Elvis.
I mean, that makes sense. Carry on.
All right. So there is also that, we follow certain people that have an education. So there is a level of, obviously if you were working with, say, John Petrucci, and you're like, hey, I wrote this musical piece, I want to write this, and this, I think this is a chorus. And John Petrucci goes, that's not a chorus. For you to argue with him and his millions of records sold would be infantile. You'd just be like, no. This is a chorus, trust me. Oh, I do trust you that that's wrong. But so you have to look at the very, it's like taking advice. When someone gives you advice, if they literally are doing the same thing you're doing, they're working a crappy job or survival job they hate, and they're telling you how to be successful. They live at home still, they're 30 or 40 years old, they're not really doing anything with their life. And they're telling you how to become successful, but they have never shown success in their life. You can't listen to that.
This is true.
You can listen to it and you can take what you can from it, but the merit of it makes you say, I should definitely research. There's no way if I'm working with somebody in background and the person in background is telling me, hey, this is how you become a successful actor. And you go, oh, great. What's your day job? And they're like, well, I'm a waiter. They have no validity anymore. And then you're like, well, how do you become successful? And they say headshots, reels. And you go, how's that work for you? No, not yet. So why would I get that? Why do I need headshots and reels if your headshots and reels have done nothing for you? Anyway, that's a whole other story. But so when you're collaborating, it's good to listen and create a flow of conversation makes a great collaboration. The lack of communication makes a bad collaboration. So I don't think it's this is my opinion, but when you're saying a group of 5 people and they all have ideas, but it doesn't move forward, I don't necessarily think that's a bad collaboration because it's not moving forward. I think it's a bad collaboration because the core foundation of what makes it bad is the lack of communication. It also isn't about somebody stepping forward and going, let's do this. That's leadership. We're not talking about leadership. We're talking about collaboration. But the inability to say yes, maybe, or how, let's just hear it. Let's hear the idea is more powerful than no, or anyone doing nothing. What are your opinions on that, or thoughts? Do you agree, disagree? Do you think I'm crazy?
I agree 100% with that.
Oh my God.
That's this fucking word. It's terrible.
Well,
in my opinion.
Not all of us are good at spoken word, JD.
Yeah, like anybody.
No, everybody's good. That's an incomplete truth. Wait, what? It's just talking. It's not just talking. Spoken word is one of the most powerful tools you can utilize in your arsenal as a vocalist. If you rely solely on screaming or singing, or even like actors, if they relied only on one emotion, they would be terrible actors. They have to rely on the color stream of all their abilities, all their passions and their spheres and their loves. And the same thing with vocals. The same thing with art. Imagine you were an artist and you only painted a white canvas and got $21 million for it.
I would totally be okay with that.
2009. That would be ridiculous if you looked that up to be true.
Listen, I would never have to work ever again.
Yeah. I have painted more white paintings since 2009 than anybody else I know, and I still am making no money off of it, probably because of marketing. But anyway.
What do we become painters?
I mean, I've painted a house before. Does that count?
Yeah.
But my point is, when you're saying spoken word is that's a no mentality though. You saying, well, spoken word sucks, but why does it suck? Have you tried it with A, B, and C? Are you relying it on based on what you've heard already and it has nothing to do with what's being like? That's what I mean. Like that would be to me, that would make me not interested in collaborating. Not because I can't do the spoken word, but because I know there's no movement. As you're saying earlier, if there's no movement, I believe the lack of communication or the inability to present ideas and discuss those, even if in the end it ends up being thrown out, I would think that would be a difficult collaboration for me personally, because there's no interest in it for me, because it's not a collaboration anymore. It would become that person's project. And I'm just kind of there to see what they like. And that's not a collaboration. Now, if I hired you and it says, hey, I would like you to work with my band, I'm going to pay you. And then I go, all right, I have this guitar part, but I would like a melody over it. Can you do it? And you bring a melody, I have 100% right to say I don't want it or not. Why is that?
Because I would be the hired gun.
You're the hired gun. I'm paying you to do what you're supposed to do, but if I don't like it, I have the final say. But if I ask you to write a song with me and you come up with a melody, if I say that sucks or no, I'm not doing my part in the collaboration. I am now controlling the collaboration, which is not a collaboration. So do you understand what I'm saying there?
I think I understand what you're saying.
What am I saying?
You're saying there needs to be an open communication back and forth. It can't be just definitive yes or no, because a true collaboration comes from people having equal say within the creation of whatever the project is.
That's right. And that equal say could lead to something being thrown out. It can. But the point is, the greatest songs in the world came from pushback, not no. Aerosmith is famous for hating each other enough to say, that part is crazy.
What do you do?
What are we doing with that? And then like reworking parts and like that. Also, the drummer, Joe Perry, I believe.
Joe Perry's guitar player.
Who's the drummer, Joe?
I don't know.
Look that up. Actually, I'll look it up. Since I'm talking, I'll look it up too.
Yeah.
But the drummer of Aerosmith is actually a well-versed arranger. I don't know.
Like a Texas arranger?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Walker?
Yeah, Joey Kramer. I knew his first name was Joe. But he's really good at arranging. And it's one of those things where he may be a drummer per se, but he has an excellent ear for movement of parts. Now imagine you went to the drummer. You're just a drummer, just worry on the beats. Like that would be terrible collaboration.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. And I know we're talking about music right now, but I agree that this conversation works with all facets of entertainment. But even in music, if a guitarist comes in and goes, I wrote a whole song, and then like the bass player is like, hey, let me try this. And the guitar is like, no, the part goes like this. And you're like, oh, you wrote a bass part? And it's like, no, but I don't like what you, like, why would you play with that, man? I know when I used to write music, if someone came up with something cool, I'd be like, keep it going, but if it didn't like it, I go, try something else, or, hey, learn. My biggest thing was learn the part. If I wrote it, like if I wrote a bass part, I'd be like, learn the bass how it is. But then once they start messing with it,
Right, they have the freedom to do what they want to.
They have the freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if they did something really terrible, like put down the bass and start playing the triangle instead, you'd be like, maybe we should.
I don't
try something
know.
else.
Pete Randoness, he once put the bass on the ground and started playing it during a show, and I was like, don't stop, that's amazing. He was playing it with his feet.
That's insane.
It was, it was one of the easier songs and during our Doom period, but like.
Do you have easy songs?
Yeah. What is there? There's, I have a cover. No. But all right. So now that we laid down that are we in agreement that a bad collaboration is just a lack of communication, and a good collaboration is a open source of communication?
Yeah.
All right. Am I right?
You're correct.
Okay, good. Let's mark that down with agreement. All right. So no, but my point is, moving forward, now I would like to talk about what a true collaboration is then, because if a collaboration is artistic, we're not talking about a business collaboration.
Correct.
Now, what is a business collaboration?
That's a good question. I assume it comes down to people who are going into a business venture, but also have the core of having a clear, open communication between one another. That's
right. Now, that could be a band, it could be actors, it could be a production team, it could be writers, it could be comedians working together as a team. Now,
it could be a union.
Believe it or not, a democracy form of a venture is not necessarily a collaboration. Why?
Because it doesn't guarantee that there's clear communication, which means people vote.
That's it. They're just voting, right? But they're also saying no. So if it gets outvoted, let's say it's a really great idea, but 3 of the people in the band or the production team, out of 5, they vote no, but they don't know any better. They don't understand business, and their brain is like, we need to make a movie. And then, the person who started the whole thing goes, instead of doing a movie, why don't we do A, B, and C, which would allow us to start building relationships with investors and ultimately lead us to aggregators and distributors, and we can start doing it on our own. And they go, no, we got to film a movie. So you get outvoted. In my mind, that's a bad collaboration, business collaboration, because there's no communication. It's just, no, we want to make a film, so we disagree with your choice. And that's why I don't believe in the vote, but I do believe in coming to an understanding. Maybe not unanimous.
And also in that situation, it sounds like you have a group of people who are not all on the same page, which also is really important for collaboration. Because we have people who are like thinking multiple different things. Like it gets really difficult to have, I think, concise conversations or productive conversations where you have people coming to a unified conclusion instead of just having arguments.
Well, being on the same page is extremely important, but at the same time, you want some people that aren't necessarily all on the page because you want some pushback. Pushback is good for creative reasons, but even business ventures need creative, ventures. Like I know when I get involved with businesses, I start saying stuff where they're like, "That's insane," and I'm like, "Yeah, this is how you run a business, though." And they're thinking product, and I'm thinking marketing, network, and relationships, and organizing your money. And
because you can have the best product in the world, but no one knows about you or you exist. It's gonna be sitting in your closet.
Look at this wire I have. It's like,
Did you tell anyone about it?
No, it's just amazing. I'm hoping somebody shows up and sees it. But anyway, so collaborating with artists and entertainers. Now, how many, you've collaborated with people, right?
I have. I've been in bands.
Would you say you've collaborated, based on our definition of good and bad, how many, would you say you had a greater percentage of bad collaborations versus, say, positive collaborations?
I'd say it's about 50-50. I think it all comes down to having people that.
We're not talking about hired gigs.
No. I'm talking about like before I met you.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to having people that you mesh well with. Like if you have people that you feel comfortable enough to communicate with, that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely been projects and instances where I've been in groups with people that people just butted heads, and there was, no matter if there was open communication or if it was just yes or no, like it was always just like animosity, I guess, or nobody ever really wanted to listen. But there have been people that I've worked with where like there was just always that like communication, and it got to a point where like you just felt so comfortable with one another that you could just communicate without saying anything, and you're able to like get like I'm speaking artistically.
Yeah. Like if you woke up naked in the bed with a friend and we're on the same page, you just be like, I'm not gay, but
it'd be like, yeah,
we're
you
here.
haven't trimmed this week.
Yeah. But you didn't have to say it. Like,
exactly.
You just know.
You give them that look, and they're like,
They're like, I know.
Yeah, but I think business-wise, I think that's where a lot of the pushback came from, because like we pointed out many times on the podcast, a lot of early or beginner artists don't really know how things really work or what to do. So there's always just, what if we try this? What if we try that? And then you have a lot of people communicating and discussing, trying to make their argument for like what it is, like why their idea is like the best idea and the best course of action. And I think people tend to, in my experience, tended to take a rejection to the idea a little more personally, other than just maybe we should try from this or think of things from this perspective.
Well, also, it's the same mentality. Like, let's say you didn't have a band or you weren't an actor or something. If somebody told you what you were doing was wrong, it's going to be personal. Because especially if the person who came up with the idea for you to take your course of action is you. If you woke up and you said, this is how I'm going to be successful in my entertainment venture, which is solely based on your own personal knowledge, no influence from anyone else. You didn't research it. You just know how to be successful in your field, which I'm being sarcastic. is the sense that you actually don't with that mentality, but you believe it. I came up with this idea. And it's the same thing with being a creative. You want your product to be seen. You want your product to have validation. You want your product to do successful. Obviously, you have a biased interest in it. It's your item.
Yeah, and as an artist, I feel like a lot of artists have the mentality that whatever it is that they're creating, whether it's music, whether it's a movie, whether it's a book, whether it's a comic, whether it's a painting, they metaphorically treat that thing as their child. So like they have all this pride and happiness and like emotion attached to it. So they're like, oh, I see all this. Why can't you people see it? And it's like, oh, when you have people that just had like the first kid, they're like, oh my god, look at my baby, and they show you like a million pictures.
Look at my baby,
and they're really smacking you in the face with like the photo album.
And you gotta be like, it's the most gorgeous baby I've never seen.
This is the most gorgeous album I've ever seen.
It has half a face, so pretty, so pretty. Well, the thing is though, like, there's a what is it though? There's a term in writing, like script writing and
but not left
and like novel writing and stuff like that, which you could utilize in any area. But ultimately, you have to have the ability to kill your babies. And what that means is like when you're writing a script, your brain has to say, is this really working for the totality of the project? And if it's not, I have to have the ability to say, let me get rid of this. Even if it's an amazing scene or an amazing moment, can you take parts from that, maybe put it into another scene and just kind of kill that scene off? Or a character that you really love, but they're only in one scene and they're basically saying stuff other characters can be saying, and now you're saving pages because every page is costs money. So a great collaborator when you're a writer is having the ability to know when to do that, especially if you're working with a producer and the producer says, hey, listen, I love the script, but this scene, can we just break the scene up and just get rid of it and just put some of the stuff into other scenes because it just seems like it just takes us out of the moment. And then you're like, but this seems amazing. And you're just like
Batman would never go walking through a field of daffodils.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely would. But in that situation, your job as a writer is to be able to collaborate. And the collaboration going, all right, well, so you want me to break this up? Because why do you want me to break this up? And then the person comes back, this is my reason. And then if you can really, like when I used to, well, I still collaborate. When I collaborate with other writers when we're working on things, that's why I go, why? I'm always at why? Why do that?
You say that to me all the time.
Because if
you want some tea, why?
Right, I want tea. I already have one in my name. What are we drinking? No, but where is my tea? No, so
yeah, we forgot the tea.
Yeah, no, all right. So that's it. I'm done. You failed my writer. No, but when I collaborate with people, anybody, even if I'm hired as a consultant, my job is to ask why. If you can't give a good reason of why, you've just proven that part needs to be taken out. Obviously going back, Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein, and
literally my favorite movie in the world.
So he knows this movie inside and out when he messed with.
I do.
All right. Well, who wrote the film? Gene Wilder.
Thank you for letting me.
Yeah. Well, you were taking too long. Too much data. I heard you breathe in, and then I was like,
he told Mel Brooks he was not allowed to be in it.
That's right. Yeah, he's like, I want good actors.
He's like, you're gonna ruin it.
Yeah, which is true. Mel Brooks is not a great actor, but he's a great director.
He did.
Anyway, so there's this part where in the movie, Frankenstein monster, but on the Ritz, when you're blue, you got to do right. And Mel Brooks was like, I don't want this scene in there. And Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks have never fought. This is something, you could look this up as an interview. Gene Wilder's like, I never fought with him. I always felt comfortable with him. We always could talk and everything. And he's like, this is the first time I screamed and I was yelling and I was just adamant that this part needs to stay. And Mel Brooks was like, but why? And I just fought. And Mel Brooks went, okay, after a half hour of fighting. And then I was like, why did you say yes? And he goes, well, if you're fighting over it that hard, it has to be good. But if you were just like, okay, cut it, then I know I was right. And but that is collaboration. Even though it kind of got heated and they never really fought before, that's collaboration. The director was like, cut it. And he was like, no. And Mel was like, well, why? Why do we need it in there? This reason. Keep it. And that's where it comes down to, in all facets of creativity and collaboration, the worst thing you can say is
9.
That's right, or 10 or 11
Or
or 12. Do you know why? This is an aside. A super aside is, did you know that in World War II, that's when they started saying niner? So they'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, niner, 10, 11. Do you know why they did?
I don't know. Educate me.
Do you not know?
I do not.
Because I know you're a big buff on like history and stuff like that.
I do not know the answer to this.
See, I wish you would do this when we talk normally. You just do like I
I'm
can see.
assuming it was to not be confused with the German form of no.
That's correct. That is correct. So 9 and niner. Isn't that weird? Isn't that interesting?
That is an interesting little tidbit.
It's just anyway collaboration. So you learned so much on this show. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
All right, but anyway. So, a thing with artists and entertainers. Now, the reason I say artists and entertainers is because artists are pretty much the creative side, entertainers are the performers. All right, that's why I say artists and entertainers. So, an artist will develop a thing, an idea, a creative venture, and the entertainers will be the ones who present it. So, they would be the actors or the musicians or the comedians.
Wait, you said actors at first.
What?
You said actors and entertainers.
No, I said artists.
Artists and entertainers.
Roll back the tape.
Never mind.
It literally says it on the title.
You know what? I'm just gonna pretend that I am not totally deaf.
By the way, we had another subject we were talking about. He's like, I don't want to sound stupid. Well, guess what? Yeah. It doesn't matter what we're talking about.
I want to see names.
Steve.
Anyway.
All right. Wait, no. That movie's amazing. Anyway, so when collaborating with artists and entertainers, you got to remember that there's the artistic side and then there's the working side. And the genius of collaborating with creatives and the performers is the ability to listen to the performer. Because a performer is coming in with tons of work on their perspective, whereas the artists themselves are necessarily, their tunnel vision is their creation, their idea.
Yeah,
So again, communication is positive for a good collaboration. And if somebody is working with a musician or an actor or a comedian and say, hey, these are some ideas I have, the best thing to do is to listen. Always just be like, hey, like let's say I said to an actor, I said, hey, these are the lines, and the actor comes back and they go, hey, listen, I just feel like they really wouldn't say that. And then I go, why? And they go, well, based on this other dialogue and it doesn't make any sense. And you got to say, it's like, all right, I kind of see that. In fact, when we were working on Letter of Reason, we were doing a table read a few times. And throughout the table read, the actor Carl, who's playing Jonathan, he said, there was a line in it that says, I love them more than I love my children. And he was like, that line is the only line that doesn't make sense to me in the entire script. I know he's fighting with his children. I know he's estranged from them. I know they don't like him. I know there's this big history between them.
And his argument was always, there's no one that's ever going to say that about their children.
About their children. Because it wasn't like the children in the story were evil. It wasn't like there was fighting. It wasn't like, the relationship was toxic and the family dynamic was toxic and there was this stuff that's going on. But at the same time, this character has so much love in him, which is the purpose of the story. And as soon as he said that, I was like, you know what? Fine, that's fair. And I just changed the dialogue right there. And there's a couple of times, but there were other times he said, I don't understand this phrasing. Like, why is this phrasing here? And it's like, well, he's being poetic and he's kind of being snobby there. And he was like, it just feels weird. And I was like, well,
say it more snobby.
Say it more snobby.
Oh, that makes sense.
But I had to put my foot down on that because I believed that dialogue. But I listened and I let him talk, and I was like, but I didn't just say no though. I explained why the line is there. I explained the emotion, the motivation, the purpose of it. And again, I could have just said, no, I like the line. But for me to be a good collaborator, I needed to present my argument because there's a chance his counter argument could have changed my perspective. And that's important in collaboration, because the worst thing in collaboration is what, JD?
No,
That's right. That's right. Are we learning something today?
we are.
Good. But the other thing about collaboration is the problem with artist brain. All right. So in art, what I mean is, if you ask somebody to work with you, and you say, "Hey, I have this idea. I would like to work with you. You know, can you do A, B, and C?" And they say, "Yes, I can do A, B, and C." But then like 6 weeks pass, and you're like, "Hey,
What's going on?
yeah, did you get that thing going?" And they're like, "Oh, you know, this other thing came up that I'm working on." And it's like, cool. Cool. Yeah, but you said you would have it to me in a week, and you know, but you didn't tell me you weren't gonna have it. If you told me you weren't gonna have it, I would have been fine with it. But I'm like waiting on it, but if you were like, "Hey, I can't get it to you because I'm working on this other thing," I'd be like, perfectly fine. I can now either make the choice to work with someone else, or I can be like, "I'll wait." Get out of my head. You know, instead of sitting there going, cool. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on that? When you ask somebody to do something, and there's clear communication in the beginning, and you go, "Hey, if you could get this to me within 2 weeks," and then they say, "Sure, no problem, I can do that," and then they
And then they don't.
yeah, then you don't even hear from them. You message them, you don't hear from them, and then like 6 weeks later, like, "Oh, I got busy. I ended up doing this thing I created." What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just very inconsiderate.
Great, that was exciting. That was deep and philosophical. I appreciate the articulate
Sometimes
mental,
the short to the point is what you need.
chemistry and acrobats of your English lexicon.
Vernacular.
Oh, your vernacular. I went with lexicon, but vernacular is good too.
Well, the lexicon?
Yeah. There was a carousel of emotions in your answer.
Wait, no, the lexicons are the ones that have the heated seat for your butt.
It depends if you're annoying or not.
I'm always annoying.
So let me hear your opinion on that. I agree. You know what? You know what you just sounded like? I know I'm going to give my age out here, but to McMahon, from Johnny Carson. "Oh yeah, you're right, Johnny." You know, like they'd have, like Johnny would be like, "Oh, let me tell you, I have this thing."
Johnny Carson.
And then who's Johnny Carson? So Johnny Carson would be like, blah 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 blah, and then McMahon would be like, yeah, that's what you just did to me. I gave you the floor, and you're like, yeah, I like apples.
Well, it's inconsiderate. It's like if you ask someone.
Oh, now they have something to say. Go ahead, give my voice a rest. No dead air. Come on, talk.
Well, it's inconsiderate
inconsiderate.
because if you ask someone to, partake in something, and they give you their word, they give you a time frame. You kind of just expect people to, "Oh yeah, I can hold up to this," but it's just like, if you tell somebody something, people expect, a certain, deliverance, and like they make plans. Yeah, you make plans around what somebody tells you, and then if that changes and there's no communication at all, that this things happen. I think that's really inconsiderate because you're not taking into consideration, the value of other people's time.
So it's inconsiderate.
It isn't.
I would have to say I agree with you, because my biggest pet peeve.
We start keeping track when we actually agree. I think that should be.
Yeah, I'm just saying it to move on.
Oh.
Going back. My biggest pet peeve is literally the lack of communication. Like if I'm going to work with you and you say, "Hey, listen, something came up. I'm not going to be able to do this," or if you need me still, I could do it in 5 weeks. I would literally not be upset at all. I'd be like, cool. Do what you got to do. But if you tell me that you're going to do something and you don't do it, and then you hide or you don't communicate, or I'm reaching out to you and you just vanish, then I'm like, I can't work with this. I cannot collaborate with this person again on anything, even trust that they're going to come through, for a few reasons. And that's artist brain and the lack of communication.
Yeah, because if they're like this on something that's like for fun, like it kind of shows what they would be like in a potential professional setting where it's like their actual like stakes, not just like, "Oh, let's do this."
But they might be more attentive with something that's professional. But that to me is not loyal. And that's part of the conversation too. Is like,
I feel like someone like that would just be like a kind of like a toxic person to be around.
Oh yeah, they're out for themselves.
Yeah. So and again, I don't think that would be reliable in a professional setting, just because it's like that shit's gonna that stuff is gonna.
Would you say it's inconsiderate?
I would say inconsiderate.
Would it be out of considerate? How come there are people
Why
who are
is it
nonchalant, but
inconsiderate?
no one's ever chalant? That's somebody's joke.
That's a valid question.
If I remember correctly, that might actually be
Why is it a pet peeve and not an owner peeve?
a pet peeve and not
Yeah.
an owner peeve.
Yeah, like pet peeves, owner peeves.
What do you mean? What is it?
Was it a video?
What is it?
Yeah, but going to your point on
Going back.
Loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty. Well, before we even really get into loyalty, I want to kind of
Like rewards program?
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep going. So, look, this is very important to me to get out. You're messing up my train of thought, and I have to.
We're going on
What I'm saying is so important that I have to ignore.
some sort of like
your
rails
input.
on a crazy train.
No, all right.
Dun dun
Dun,
dun 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 dun.
Don't you want to touch my doggy? All right. When you're moving, you get. All right. But going back to the whole collaboration thing and asking someone, that's the problem with artist brain in my mind. That also touches on the aspect of loyalty. Is an artist brain is like, how do I get involved? How does it benefit me? I'm 100% in. But if it's not. Like, I'll give you an example just to make the most sense of it. Let's say I ask you to work on a project and you're an actor. And I go, hey, I would love you to work on this project. And you're like, great, what role? And I say to you, honestly, there's, the roles have been cast, but I want to work with you. I like you as a person and I want you to be involved in this project. Do you want to be a PA or do you want to be a script supervisor or do you want
to get involved somehow.
Yeah. And your response politely is actually, to be honest, I'm going to be busy. I can't do it. And the reason they say no is because they're not acting.
They're not doing exactly what they want to be doing.
Yeah. Or even worse, you say can you be in it? I have a role for you, but the role is like hi, how are you doing today? Thank you for showing up to our hotel. And then that's it. And then you politely again go, oh, actually I'm going to be really busy. And the reason is because you counted your lines and you don't have enough lines. And it's the same thing with musicians, you want to work with someone, they go, well, I'm in a band already, and I don't. Yeah, but it's just a song. I just want you to play a song with me. Yeah, but I'm putting all my time and energy into this band. And what that tells me is that your loyalty is to you and not necessarily working with people. So the reason you would work with people is because your artist brain is trying to propel your career, and that's telling. That's very telling when someone says that they're not interested in being involved because it's not exactly what they want, and they're not thinking of the loyalty of the friendship or the relationship you're building, or even yes, I agree you have to set boundaries. Yes, I agree you shouldn't do things you don't want to do. But honestly, if they're friends and they're people you care about, and the only reason you don't want to do it is because you would rather be acting than keeping track of the script or something like that. There's something missing in your path to success, because you can only go so far if you focus on your success. Because remember, your success is based on the people around. Yeah. Knocks my flow out.
Listen, I wanted to interject and have part of the say.
You didn't talk at all the last podcast. You can keep that up. I'm just kidding. No one's listening.
I'm cry in a corner tonight. What are you gonna be? You're gonna get a dog.
Isn't it an aborted butt baby? What is it?
Funny story, actually.
Funny story. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on people collaborating only for the greater good of their career and not necessarily the greater good of the relationship and or helping the product itself, the project itself, in any facet?
I think people like that are a toxic element to any kind of situation, because when someone's selfish, when someone's greedy, it can be picked up on very easily.
Yeah.
And I think the more that those people are around, people subtly start picking up on it, and they don't really want to be around that person. And I don't think those kind of people. I don't think they get very far, because people pick up on it and then they talk to other people, and people are asking for recommendations.
Yeah.
Eventually it comes, oh, how come no one's recommending this person? And it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I would never recommend anybody who I felt
Who's only out for themselves.
Yeah, even if it was the smallest sense of that like trusting my instinct is important for my career, and if you just feel that a little bit, even as a consultant, I've turned people down, not obviously saying that, you're a selfish prick, but being like, I'm not the person for you.
I've also, I've seen you take on clients because of your love for somebody else, even though you knew that the person you were taking on, I'm only taking you on because I love this person.
Yeah. I do that often because I have loyalty to that other person. If I care for you or love you, or I work well with you, or like gooder, or I know you're a good person and like you're giving and caring, and you ask me to help someone out, I'm going to help them out because of you, not about that person, But the thing is, I'm probably not going to recommend the person I worked with if they're terrible or don't have the loyalty aspect. And loyalty, by the way, is not choosing one over the other. Loyalty is the ability to be present to the relationship. Obviously, again, you have to have boundaries.
The wrapping paper.
You got to get those wrapping papers to make sure it's all nice. By the way, wrapping paper, excellent lyricists. If you have a person in your life that is like, let's say, working on something else, and you're like, hey, can you work on this thing? And they say no. To me, that has nothing to do with loyalty. They're working, they're busy, But
your schedules don't actually they don't line up.
Yeah,
it's totally fine.
But if that person feels they're not getting anything from you anymore, and now they're not recommending you, they're not wanting to work with you, or they found an opportunity they feel is much better, and then the only time they reach out is when they see you physically doing something, not understanding that there's actually stuff behind the scenes in the works. To me, that's not loyal, because it's opportunists, and that's not healthy in this business. It's an artist brain.
I don't think that's an artist brain. I think that's
an artist brain.
That's a not nice person brain.
Well, all right, I'll agree with that.
Because I've met many an artist who are really kind souls. I think what you're describing is a dick.
Well, I don't believe their name is Richard, but yes, I agree that they are we'll call them, we don't want to say several hundred names. Now, the other thing that I consider in my brain is telling of your ability to be loyal is when, let's say I offer you an opportunity, right? And I say, hey, look, I have a festival, right? And I go, have you been in any projects you could submit to the festival, or know anyone who has a project you could submit to the festival? And your response is no. And then later on, it comes out in conversation that it's more like, well, the thing is, I'm I'm just in the project. It's not necessarily my project. So I didn't want to recommend them. To me, that's extremely telling. It's saying that you're not loyal.
And you're selfish.
You're selfish, right? And you're interested in your career's growth and not, and the truth is, this is
the fact of the matter.
I do not make this up. What I'm about to say is absolutely 100% true. You could get your 15 minutes of fame by focusing on your success and get to the top. But I'm telling you right now, you can't stay there if you have no friends. And if your friends are the only people that like you because you're successful,
those aren't your friends.
MC Hammer is one of the prime examples. MC Hammer was hiring people just to stand on the side of the stage because he felt bad for them. They were cousins, they were friends, just to give them money. As soon as MC Hammer's life started going down and he had to sell his $5 million home and all this other stuff, everyone vanished, except for a few core friends. But that's the crazy part. Hell, when I had my theater, people were like sending me friend requests that I was like,
who the hell are you?
No, I knew who they were, and I knew that we weren't friends. And I knew that I had to unfriend them.
Who the hell do you think you
are? Who do you think you are? And they friend request me, and I would turn to whoever's near me. I go, oh, look, this person's they're gonna email me in probably like 5 minutes and say, hey, I would love to play at your theater. And what do they do in 5 minutes? They message me, hey, I would love to play. And I'm like, but you hate me. You literally hate me. Why do you want to play at my theater? So you can have an opportunity?
Last time I saw you, you spit on my shoes.
Yeah. Aren't you one of those people that said I shouldn't be a comedian? Like that I'm a joke to the comedy world?
Punchline is,
and I was,
they were wrong.
Well, the punchline is they still work on Long Island, and they don't see the light of day, but whatever.
What the hell's a day?
But my point is, I had so many people in my life, and then when that situation basically closed down, like, it's as if somebody turned the light on and all the roaches ran. And then I had a select few of people that were really still loyal and still there for me, and I appreciated that. And some of them were kind of there, but they weren't necessarily like there. They just were like, they were
present.
Yeah, they were present enough to be like, well, maybe something else will happen.
What drives me crazy is that that is a prime thing. That's a prime example of people going, oh, there's an opportunity. I can get in with the owner of this business that's just starting out. What really messes with me and really annoys me, what angers me to the point of using expletives, but I'm not going to do it because we're on the YouTubes.
Yeah, we're trying to get sponsorships for Diet. Oh, that reminds me. I need some Diet Pepsi. Keep talking. Let me get that.
But the biggest thing that bugs me is when you went through your battle with cancer, there were so many people that just bailed and abandoned you and just stopped even asking how you are, and I don't get how people could do that. It's just so inhumane and so cruel. It's you were literally going through a personal struggle, something that I can't even fathom. What that was like to deal with, and people literally that were supposedly really close with you just abandoned you, and I don't get how that could even be a thing.
Well, some of them were there when I was told I had cancer because they were trying to maintain some sort of respectful relationship, and some of them came to the hospital. Some of them, some of them reached out with messages, not a lot, but some, and but then there was just this point where I had a lot going on before I was told I had cancer. I had a lot going on. I had a TV show. I had tons of stuff. And they told me I had cancer, and they basically were like, look, it's so bad, we have to operate now. And within a month, I had the operation.
Yeah, I remember, because you told me that was going on. I stopped bugging you about because at the time we were basically building our relationship, and I'd hired you as a consultant to do the website. I pretty much made it a point not to bombard you with work, and I was just hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, but I was telling you, if you need stuff, please, it makes me feel sane. Because I
wanted
to work.
I know, but my main thing was making sure that you were okay and talking to you like a human being and not like a fucking robot. Pardon me, I got very.
Yeah, I am a robot though.
People.
I really like human interaction.
But it's just my thing, you told me that you were going through that. I just wanted to make sure that you were okay.
Well, and I appreciated that, trust me. But let me tell you, somebody said this to me before I went in for my operation. Please don't die. We need you so we can all have work. Right? I feel bad saying this, but they died of stomach cancer. So I don't know what the deal is with Connor, but it was the first time in my life in a long time that I wanted to just punch somebody and throw them out the window. Because I was getting ready. I had, not only did I pull everyone together, and I said, listen, I'm going in for surgery, and I want you all to know I want to give everybody a point on this project. I want everybody to work to sell this project and shop it around, and let's get this thing on the road. I'm going to be out of commission for a little bit. I need this momentum. I need to collaborate with all of you. I trust in you. You're all great directors, and da, 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 da. And then one of the directors said that to me, and they were just like, please don't die because we need, By the way, I got nothing from that. I got nothing from that. No one
did anything.
Yeah, you know why?
Because no one cared. They were like, oh, this will help me because he's doing multiple.
That's right. It's like when we asked somebody from Team Rise Together if they would like to help us with investors, and we would give them points on the project for those investors. And they says, oh, I only bring investors in for projects that I'm working on. And you're like, but you are an owner to this project.
This is a project that they're working on.
Yeah, it's a Team Rise Together project. And that to me is the loyalty aspect. Is if you're only loyal to yourself, how can you collaborate truthfully with somebody else? Honestly, it just doesn't make sense to me. And that's what having cancer really showed me, is that I didn't have a lot of loyalty in people. I had something to give people. And they wanted that. They wanted my education. They wanted my abilities, my resources, my connections, because I do know a lot of people. But I noticed the people I know are in my life. But the people that were knowing me and wanted to be around me the most vanished when they felt there was no opportunity. And the thing is, now I don't openly talk about my opportunities. I've slowed that. My social media has almost crashed. Like I don't really talk about what I'm doing in life and what my goals are. And
because you don't want to have people, leeching off of you. And
I don't have
this
time
is
for it.
this is an easy way for you to basically screen the people that are around you.
Yeah. Well, my favorite is when people say, "Hey, how can I help you?"
You're like,
And I go,
this.
No, I don't even say. I go, "Well, do you just get involved?" And they're like, "Oh, okay. How do I do that?" I don't know. Comment, share things, send people my way. Talk about the project. Cool, I can do that. Cool. And then they do nothing. And then I go, I'm glad I didn't waste my breath on telling them to do anything, or being like, "Let's get you involved," because
they wouldn't have done any of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. The reason is because that's not what they wanted to do. They didn't want to get involved. They wanted to do something very specific that could help them or get them up on the table. And there's a lot of people like that still reach out to me, and I'm just like, I do not look in this life. I literally had a couple months to live when they told me I had cancer. Basically, I had like 6 months left, and they were like, "We just got to get it out." That's how bad it was. So after that, I stopped caring about. I started believing in my boundaries, and one of my boundaries is ultimately, I'm not here for you or me. I'm here for people, meaning I want to work with people. I don't want to work with a person. I don't want a person to work with me in the sense of, I don't want it to feel like I'm gaining from them or they're gaining from me. I want to feel like we are gaining together. And that's something I've always believed in, but after cancer,
You stuck to that.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not getting involved with people. If I sense any selfishness or if I sense lack of loyalty, and again, loyalty to me is not that you do for me. Loyalty is how you treat other people when it doesn't benefit you. Loyalty is that you're not out to be the best over everyone else, but the best within the group of everyone else. Meaning like your best efforts.
The best you.
Yeah, the best you is going to help the group. So, when I say loyalty to me, I'm not saying you're loyal to me and you can't do anything else. Like, I want people to succeed. Like right now, one of my mentorees,
One of your,
Mentees?
we'll say your students.
my students.
Your Padawans.
Yeah, Nick Bonanno. I'm really extremely proud of this kid. His wrestling's on pay-per-view now.
Woohoo.
And he owns he's one of the head writers. He's, it's his thing. And I remember when I met him, what was it, 7 years, 8 years ago?
Yeah, about when you met me, I think, right?
Yeah,
Back at the
exactly.
theater, because he started out.
He was an intern at my theater, and I taught him a lot of great stuff. And he may not be extremely interactive because that's not his personality. Like, it's not like his actions ever changed. But when I see him do some great things, I have to boast about it. I have to share his stuff, and I have to show my pride for him because, I'm excited for him. But I never do any of that hoping I'm going to get something out of it. Like, I don't
You
want
do, because you're proud of the guy.
Yeah. No, he did some great stuff.
Before, the pre-COVID and the before times. He was traveling all over the place, all over the U.S. He ended up going to China to do the wrestling stuff. Like, I don't think he ever sleeps.
He doesn't. Well, he's a vegan, so he doesn't have to. That's what he told me.
Doesn't he also take his feet off and basically absorb the nutrients from the earth and
He's like poison ivy.
No, he's like Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. I heard sometimes his crotch gets like Swamp Thing.
Really?
Yeah, because he sweats a lot. I don't know.
That's a sweating.
Also, he was really skinny, and then he started
jacked,
working out, and I was like, Jesus.
He's like, oh man, I'll do the wrestlers. You have to keep up.
I'm like, you're already tall. You don't need to be big.
He's like,
small people. Joke. Look at these human midgets. I'm like, who the hell is this kid?
We should get Nick Bonanno on here.
I would love to get Nick Bonanno on here, but he's busy. He's very busy.
Yeah.
I wish we lived close enough because I definitely, I told him that if I ever work on anything, no matter what, if he's available, he's always going to be one of my first calls because he's a good kid. He helps so many people. One of the people in the festival right now is a recommendation from him, and that's the point.
That's true.
Even though he doesn't interact with my social media or he's very present, he's still present. But in this situation, I was like, hey, do you have anyone who would be interested in the festival? He was like, yeah, let me see who I got. You know, so that's what I mean by loyal. Like, he's still present to the idea, but it's not necessarily, you know, like.
He believes in the relationships that he builds.
Yeah. And loyalty doesn't mean like, comment, and share stuff on social media.
Yeah.
It just means that.
It's like literally the baseline of what you can do. You're like, you know what, let me get involved with this.
Yeah, like I have no time, so let me just like and share and comment for, you know, just because I see it. You know, like if you see it, just like, comment, share. It's not that you know, you can even just like and comment. But in that situation, what I'm saying is like he's
I once
still
talked
very
to somebody,
present.
but before we get off this topic,
Yeah,
I once talked to
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
when I was building a social media like relationship friendship with someone that was, you know, up and coming, trying to build my numbers and whatnot. I was like, hey, do you want to do you know, like basically like back and forth, like, you know, you like comment and share on my stuff, I'll like comment and share on your stuff. We're doing basic stuff anyway, but like let's just be like really like, you know, proactive about it.
Yeah, what happened?
And the response I got was that they didn't want to share anything on their own page because it was going to ruin their brand.
What was their brand?
It's a good question.
It was their brand.
It was literally all about them. If you go to any of their pages, it literally is all about them.
But see, people forget that brand is also inclusive. So if I share your stuff, which is clearly a different brand than mine, the way I share your stuff is my brand.
Exactly.
So if I just shared your stuff, I'm not really influencing it with brand. But if I share it and I add my personality or my perspective, specifically my emotional perspective, and not a robot perspective that's just analytic, that's more powerful for my brand than not sharing. If I just post my own stuff, it's not as powerful as me sharing your stuff. And I'm not saying share things because it'll help your brand. Share it because it's sincere. But the way you share things, the way you interact, there's a lot of stuff I don't do anymore that I used to do on social media, especially back in the MySpace days, that I won't do now because I have a brand, and the way I interact with people or don't interact, that's important. I don't get into fights with people. Though if I do post something that looks like a fight, it's written 100% in a joke form.
Yes.
Like I'm being extremely sarcastic, you know, and the person I'm messaging, I know knows me. But it's funny because sometimes people start communicating with that thing, and I'm just like, there's no way I'm getting into this. And sometimes my friends will like defend me, like, no,
he's joking.
He's 100% joking. But again, that's my brand, you know. And when people say stuff like that, oh, it's going to affect my brand, you go, not if you utilize your brand to share it. And also, it's saying something about you. Because if somebody goes to your page and they see how interactive you are with other people, they're going to say, this person has loyalty. This person has a collaborative mentality.
And if they go to the pages and they're like, oh, it's literally this. Oh, look what I did. And they're bragging.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much. I mean, it's very rare that you'll go to my page and you'll see something that says, check it out, check this out, or see what I'm doing. I can do that because I have such a large chunk of adventure on my pages
that you can be like, hey,
yeah,
you have the right to be like, check this out.
Yeah, like if I
you almost never say, you almost never have a push.
Yeah, even the other day when I did
push me down.
I did. That was funny though. But you bounced right back.
I did, because almost bounced.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna try it off the roof next time.
Woohoo! Wait.
Woohoo! I thought you said it'd be a mattress. All right.
For it up.
But like the other day, I shared a song that we did together, and but I didn't say check it out. I just talked about the song, and I did.
For the record, I think it's really funny how your post is really deep and poetic.
Okay.
And mine was just like.
Well, I did it in the voice of Telmore, you know, like Telmore was like, and then he's like, oh, we had guitars.
And I was like, but look at my, it's about that.
Yeah. I was like, but that's the point. You shared it in your voice. I shared it in the Telmore voice, and then I personally shared it in the Thomas voice because they're three different brands. But if I was like, I'm going to share it because it's supposed to be dark and scary. No, share it dark and scary where it's supposed to be. And then I can make it silly. That's the way brand works, you know? Oh, yeah. Whoa, what was that?
Oh, Pepsi.
Oh. Please sponsor us. That's up here.
I just cover my face. I wasn't there though.
Oh, no. Sponsor Pepsi. Diet Pepsi. Shutting JD up all across the land. No, we don't want to shut him. Just want to keep him quiet. But just kidding. I mean it.
I'm gonna cry.
I would never tell you the truth, as honest as I am.
I would never tell you the truth, honest to God.
Honest to God, I would lie my balls off. Which door do I pick? You know that thing where they're like, hey, put your hand on the Bible, do you swear to God and to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? And you're like,
I'm an atheist.
Absolutely. Sure. Oh, you can go to jail for perjury. All right, well, why don't you start with that? I'd agree to that. Yes, I will tell the truth. So I won't go to...
That's, for me, that's like a weird thing because it's supposed to be a separation of church and state. When you go to the court, they put your hand on a Bible. What if you're Jewish?
Well, that's the thing. Your hand would burn, and then you're automatically guilty.
What if you're Muslim?
Well, then your hand would burn.
What if you're a turtle?
I always get scared of the Bible when they're like, hey, tell the truth. Because I'm like, I'm afraid my hand will burn. And then I'm like, look, it's better that I don't touch the Bible. And they're like, why not? I was like, first of all, I hate that they wrote that about me. And then they're like, what? And I was like, I'm not Satan. He doesn't exist. You guys created Satan for control. And they're like, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Thomas. Thomas. Nice to meet you. Oh, just put your hand on the Bible.
I'm Joe, but I want to talk about it.
Well, Daddy Thomas was in the Bible.
Yeah, Job had a well at the time.
Job. What's wrong with Job? He doesn't have a Job.
Why does he have PTSD?
I don't know.
Something about a well and stuff.
All I know is that at one point in the Bible, Jesus is confronted by a friend dies, and the wife of the friend goes, "Hey, so and so died," and he goes, "No, he's still alive. Give it a couple of days." And he's like, "No, come to the funeral." And Jesus is like, "No, he's still fine. He's fine. I'll be there. I'll be there in a couple of days." Anyway, he shows up late. They did the funeral and everything. They did the wake. They did the funeral, and Jesus shows up like 3 or 4 days later, and he's getting yelled at. And he's like, "No one is truly ever dead." If Jesus said that,
He did!
not only have you saved people by touching them, you've cured like leprosy, and he's still alive. Well, I can't talk to him, but his spirit lives on. No, what are we singing? That song isn't even popular yet. Spirit will. But Jesus was a punkster, If you read the Bible, he's a punkster. In the book of Matthew, he asked Peter to walk on water. If you have faith in me, you'll be able to walk on water. And Peter couldn't swim, and he steps in the water and he starts drowning. And Jesus is like, "Yeah, now you owe me." And he's like, "Son of a bitch." And he was like, "I didn't even know there was water in the desert. Where's this water coming from? Can't you just turn it to wine? I'll drink myself out of this." All the fish are like, "Yeah, this is the greatest day ever." Put your feet down. It's only 2 feet. Oh, you got me again, Jesus.
I think one of my favorite representations of Jesus is in the Preacher TV show. Best Jesus ever.
Well, that's that. No, because there's the real Jesus is in the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My best representation of is in the Preacher TV show.
Are you talking about the normal one? Or
Yeah.
Or they're like,
No.
That one. Because that's
Humperdew? No.
Humperdew.
Not Humperdew.
To the moon.
This show's so good. No, Jesus in that show is amazing.
Jesus is amazing. But he's still like a goody two-shoe. I like that he fights Hitler, though.
It gets me up. It's great.
Honestly, I've read the comics. I don't think, like, the way the show ended, I think they really took an artistic license because I don't think...
Well, if I remember correctly, you were saying that they basically went off on their own thing.
Yeah, at a certain point, they definitely did. Because I know he still loses... Oh, spoiler alert. He still loses his eye in the comic like he did. But, a lot of the reasoning behind certain things, and I don't... I could be wrong on this, but I don't think he gives up his powers, is what I'm saying. And also, there's a part in the show where he loses his powers, right? Because of, I don't know, something about like his soul is out or something. I don't know, something stupid.
Oh yeah, in the show, yeah.
In the show. Thing. In the comic books, Jesse goes and finds Jesus. I mean, God. He finds God and he starts questioning. He's like, why me? What? And remember, God didn't choose Jesse in the comic books either. It's just Genesis chose him.
Yeah, so it's outside of God's plan.
Yeah, it sounds like, and I don't think God ran because I could be wrong. I don't remember him running because Jesse had Genesis, because Jesse approached God, and even that was like most of the story is him trying to find God, which is what they do in the show.
Yeah.
And he finds God and he questions him, and God takes away the Genesis power. Like he goes, yeah, if you're going to question me, you're without it. So then, just like in the show, he gets thrown into that the coffin and put into the water.
That was a great scene.
In the comic book, that happens, but he asks, basically has a conversation with God. God's not talking back to him, and he just wants his power back. And then when they open up the casket, he goes, "Are you ready to listen, boy?" And he basically has his powers again. So they changed. So that was what confused me about the show. I wasn't sure what the deal is, because God wasn't necessarily scared of Genesis, because he had the power to take Genesis away from Jesse in the comic books. But
I think they were probably just going for to have a different ending.
I agreed with what they did. Like, it was definitely a really good adaptation of it, and I think that's
so what
important.
you're saying is I should read the Preacher comics.
The Preacher comics are intense. They're really good. The artist is good too.
Yeah, I've seen some of the art just in passing because it's still in that bookstore or whatever. And that's so cool. I really want to check out the Boys comics.
The Boys, yeah.
Just because watching the show, we're addicted at this point. But hearing all the stuff you've been researching about Black Noir was the best character in that show. I haven't heard anybody says
Black Noir, that cunt.
But it just sounds like there's just so much more in the comics. I kind of want to.
Yeah.
I think the story is finished in the comics, right?
Probably. I think they only had a couple of series. But speaking of collab, though, I think that's important too. Like when an artist collabs with an idea, and a team comes together. Like Seth Rogen is the producer on Preacher and The Boys.
Yes, he is.
And I like that they're able to take it and keep the core truth of the project, and then they kind of give it their own voice. I think that's important. Which brings me back to a lot of things when it comes to artists. And I talk to you about this all the time, because we have different philosophies on covering a song. You cover songs identical, and I'm like a fan of putting my style on it, my brand, because I'm covering the song. I'm not doing a tribute to the song.
I would argue. I think. I don't. I feel like I just don't deter enough from the original.
Well, you don't put your style on,
and I would disagree.
First of all,
in my humble opinion, I disagree.
All right, but the reason I don't agree with your disagreement is because I know what your style sounds like. And I could probably write a song in your style because I know it. It's a very specific sound. And when I hear you do covers of any cover, it never sounds like your style. It has your tone and your wibbly wibblies are there, but the way you're writing the song, the parts, aren't necessarily a true adaptation of your style as that song. Your arrangements are the same.
Disagree.
All right, just put it on the internet.
Oh,
why don't you put them side by side with the original?
Okay.
All right. Now, I'd like to point out, I already know the answer to that. Would you say my covers of songs are more in tune with my style than your songs are in tune with your style?
I think when you take things that are drastically different than progressive doom metal, i.e. Dark Horse by Katy Perry, yes, it is definitely a more drastic change than, say, your cover of Under the Sun by Black Sabbath, which to me is, it sounds like you playing it, but it still sounds very much like the original.
Yeah, but to you, but if I look at that song and break it down, it is not. In fact, where I sing vocals and how I sing the vocals, what chords I'm using over the vocals, the rhythms of the vocal parts, different. The part that comes after that, bang, 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 completely different. It's a strum. There's more. Even though it's a slower tempo, the way I play it.
I understand what you're saying, but to me, I'm telling you, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
From my hearing of the original Black Sabbath song to yours, there is like this much of a difference, as opposed to when you did Katy Perry. There's this much of a difference.
Well, what about Paranoid? Do you think Paranoid sounds identical to Paranoid?
No, because you specifically were like, I'm gonna make this slow.
No, the acoustic version I have.
Yeah, no. Like you're like, I'm not gonna play it like them.
Yeah, but I didn't play. So under the sun, Paranoid has the feel of Paranoid, just as Dark Horse has the feel of Dark Horse. The chorus has the same feel, but the way I play it is different. And then
I feel like your version of Paranoid has an Altennian feel more than a Black Sabbath.
which
Paranoid.
is important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that I feel like your version of Under the Sun, to me,
Sounds more like a Sabbath doing a variation on their Sabbath song.
slightly, yes.
Well,
Like,
joke's on you. All my music is Black Sabbath because that's how I write.
this is true. Like, my Dying Earth definitely is Black Sabbath.
It's Black Sabbath. Addiction was a Black Sabbath song.
My Dying Earth is a Black Sabbath song if it was written by Dream Theater.
You know what? I almost agree, but I have to disagree. I think because I have three different styles. I have like doom, and then I have like progressive, and then I have like metal.
My Dying Earth is a Black Sabbath song.
Performed by Jesus.
If it was written by Dream Theater with lyrics by Type 1. You're like, I can't agree. I have to agree to that.
Black, number one. She likes the dog. Do you know it?
No.
Do you know any typo? Because you don't like music, right?
I mean, I love music.
Typos are made. You know Typo Negative's original name? That's right, Sub-Zero. See?
Right.
You're so quick.
Like Scorpion.
Like, exactly. Exactly. Just like Scorpion. Is it Scorpio? Is it? Get over here. Oh, get this out of here.
Give it back.
Give her back. Oh, tasty. Alright, so you're saying, so one song out of several of the songs, we're saying that, but my style of covering is drastically different than, you're saying it's more me than when you do it. Even though you're saying yours has your taste in it, but you're probably closer to the original than my versions are to.
I will agree with that. When I do a cover, when I do a cover, my philosophy is I really like this song. I want to keep the core of it, but I want to do it as if I wrote the song.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that whatever it is that I like about the song is still there.
And I don't feel it. I feel I don't feel your, like even when you did what's that Christmas song? Hails to the Bells. I don't know.
Oh,
It's yeah.
the Die Hard thing, you mean?
Yeah,
Carol of the Bells.
Carol of the Bells. To me, that was like a heavier version of Sabotage doing it. You know, which was really translated by an orchestra, which is really Sabotage.
Yeah.
Which is a Mozart piece, right? Or Beethoven.
When I did that song, I did more of an arrangement than the original version that they did, mainly because I was doing it because one, I just liked the song, and I was doing it as a recording exercise. So I didn't really put a lot of time into how would I write this song, because I was
But you still did it.
I did it.
And anything you put out is a reflection of your style and your brand, and it can be destructive to your brand. It's absolutely true, because we'll always go to Alien Ant Farm when they did Smooth Criminal.
That's true.
It was in their style. It sounded completely different than the original Smooth Criminal, right? Because it felt full and there was a lot going on. But then they did their own music, and they got rid of all the elements that was in that cover were nowhere to be found in their music. And that's what I feel you do when you do covers. You take your element out, and like.
What they should have done is they should have started a separate project called Michael Jackson Ant Farm. And then they should have put out Alien Ant Farm. And people have been like, I get it.
Alien Jackson. Oh wait, I guess that's basically the same.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. What's wrong with Michael Jackson? Shimona. Yeah.
No, but so again, so there's one song I was when you did like a quick version of what's that song from Top Gun. Like you did that, you put that out. It was you playing, but you.
Oh yeah. I was just playing metal. Like I feel like that was pretty close to what I would do because I just played it as if.
You just played it heavy. That is not putting your feel or style on it. Putting distortion on it or updating the quality of a production is not necessary. And again, what you're doing is not wrong. I'm telling you from a business standpoint, you're not being you. Your brand is being diminished, in my opinion, because you're not putting your style, even the JD style or the Angels on the Battlefield style. And there's nothing wrong with it if that's what you want to do.
Well,
but
I think that's the thing. I'm disagreeing with you that I feel that when I did that, and when I do covers most of the time, I put my feel, my style into it.
Right.
So I go, hey.
What songs have you covered?
Not many.
So you should be able to kind of list this out. Let's hear it.
Well, currently I'm working on a cover of Every Time We Touch by
It sounds identical.
No, it doesn't.
All right, what else?
No, because that
doesn't. No, your feels and rhythms and the way you write songs is not depicted in that version.
I disagree.
I know you do. That's why we're going to move on because I'm right and you're wrong.
Listen, everyone's entitled to their own stupid opinion. You can also be incorrect.
Do you want to use that as a soundbite because you say it every show?
I love that one.
All right, going back. All right. By the way, that's a soundbite. So what else did you cover? Jesus, how long is this going to take?
Gosh.
Come on, what do you got?
Yeah, I got nothing.
You got nothing. Jesus. Should we look it up? Let's just look it up. What do you got? Where are they? Where are your covers? Where are your covers?
Well, I got nothing, apparently.
I'm asking you a serious question.
Well,
you're not supposed to take offense to these things.
I'm
You're
not
supposed to have a conversation about it.
I'm having a conversation. I got nothing.
You got other. You have several covers you did.
Oh yeah, what are the covers? We already went over.
You got Hell's Bells by Sabotage. You got Every Time We Touch, which does not have your playing feel in it.
I disagree.
If you play two of your songs, play your song before the cover and your song after the cover, like two different songs that you wrote, I'm telling you that song would stand out as different than the two other songs. It just would.
I agree. Maybe
that's my point. That is my point.
Because people are more familiar with the song.
No, that's not why. It's because your brand is not established in that song. It should sound like you doing a cover of that song. But what will happen is you'll hear a very distinct sound and songwriting style in the first song. Then you'll hear Every Time We Touch that has like a quicker rhythm and it's heavier. And then you'll hear your other song and it'll have very specific arrangements and very specific style and these two songs, the first and the last one, will sound like you wrote them. And then the one in the middle, the cover, will sound like you doing a cover, but not necessarily your style. And that's how you can tell. I'm not saying change anything, but my argument will stand. I know for a fact, because I hear it all day, that just because you make it heavy and you make the rhythm a little quicker or you do a little gallop, that doesn't make it your song.
Or the fact that I'm being a lot more articulate with what I'm playing, not just playing the chords.
Again, that's just updating the recording and the ability to play. Being a good musician doesn't make it a better song. It doesn't make it your song. That's like Tony Iommi to me is not as clear as saying, no, here's a better one. If you ever hear Dream Theater play Metallica, first of all, I never thought I could hear all the notes in a Metallica song until Dream Theater played it. The drums, the piano, the bass, the guitar. I was like, Jesus, Metallica doesn't play as well as I thought they do. And Metallica is awesome. Like, they're highly skilled musicians.
I mean, James Hetfield has a robotic right arm.
He does. Wait, who? But when Dream Theater did Master of Puppets, first of all, it was just Master of Puppets. It wasn't a Dream Theater cover. They were literally just doing Master of Puppets. They also did like a whole album of Iron Maiden. And it was just a whole album of Iron Maiden. They didn't really do their version of it, right? But they were also 25 years in at that point. So they could do whatever they want. right? And it was just a tribute to that band. It was saying we love this band, and they also did when they did the Metallica thing, they had like guest musicians come in, like who's a I can't think of the name, Barney something or other from like a death metal band, Barney Cannibal Corpse. What's Cannibal Corpse lead singer's name?
Corpse Grinder?
Oh, it's his real name though. I think it's Barney. All I know is James Labrie and that guy are like best friends. But he came in and sang the song, Battery or whatever it was, or Master of Puppets, whatever. But the thing is, like, it was definitely the same song, but the playing was absolutely perfect. Like, sounded like it was a MIDI. It's so good. But again, I like the Master of Puppets version by Metallica because it has their essence and their soul. And when Dream Theater did it, Dream Theater is like probably my top 3 favorite bands, right? Obviously under Angels on the Battlefield, which you can find on MakeARightLeftHere.com. But my point stands, just because you're a cleaner player doesn't necessarily make it your style.
I agree.
All right. Well, what?
That wasn't my argument.
What's your argument?
That I added my flavor to the Every Time You Touch song.
What's your flavor? Tell me what you added that's your flavor.
Me.
That's the. What are your thoughts on this? I feel it's inappropriate. You want to elaborate? Yeah, it's very inappropriate. All right, but you want to go into it more? Yeah, sure. It's extremely very inappropriate, like a lot. So what you're saying is inappropriate? Why, if I was really going to get into it, I'd say it was probably not the thing they should have did. It's got me. Are you saying when I do a cover because I'm playing it, that's my style? All right. Just so we understand. So what are you saying with that?
I'm saying that like I'm taking the base of what the chord progression is, and then I'm playing with what's going on instead of just hitting the chords. I'm adding notes. I'm adding flavor. You're adding
speed. Speed. All right, that's what I'm saying. Speed doesn't necessarily make it yours
by itself, correct?
But you're not adding your chord styles and arrangement style. You're playing with the arrangement that already exists, and you're not adding your tempo feel changes or your melodies. I think you added one melody after I had a conversation with you about this, and that melody actually.
No, I literally just changed the entire verse, except for one part because I want to do this.
Yeah, but in the verse, what I'm saying is that I don't know. You have like a there's like a part where you weren't doing that before.
I literally just changed what I was playing with the verse because I was playing just the chords, and I was like, oh, let me just be more articulate and play it like I would, write something like On the Wings of Dragons, where it's just.
And it's like that melody thing where it's like.
I'm sticking with the chord progression, but I'm just being, what would be the word? Not more articulate. I'm being more finger wordy. Finger wordy,
but with that said though,
which is how
that doesn't necessarily equate to you making the song yours.
Yeah, but I tend to be very finger wordy for just the sake of being finger wordy because I just like to. But if I were to do that song originally, I'd be like, all right, we're gonna make some more finger wordy.
How would you write that song if there was no song to base it on?
If I were to write that song without having a song to base it off of,
yeah,
I would probably use my guitar.
Yeah, but like a serious answer though. So I could prove my point.
Well, I don't know how to answer that because I would have written a completely different song because it would have been there.
Would you?
Yes, but the idea of doing the cover is that I enjoy this song.
So so you're not doing a cover; you're doing a tribute.
Every cover is at its core a tribute because you're like, I really like the song and this artist. I'm going to do a tribute by playing this how I would play.
Yeah, but I believe by definition, a tribute band will play identical and try to sound as much to the band as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas a cover of a song is a brand doing a version of that song. They're covering it.
Yeah, but in essence, a cover is still a tribute because you're paying homage to the original artist and the original song.
So you're saying
a tribute band is exactly what you said, but a tribute in general, in spirit, is we're paying tribute to whatever it is we're paying tribute.
Okay.
So a cover is a tribute. It is not a tribute band. It is a tribute.
So a cover is just a band playing the song that they like.
However they want. Yes.
However they want.
Yeah.
All right. So what you're saying is one All Along the Watchtower was covered by what are you doing, Drew? By Jimi Hendrix. it sounds nothing like All Along the Watchtower by Bob Dylan. What's his name?
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
It is a cover in his style, how he would play it.
Yeah.
But it
That's
is a
interesting.
tribute to what he did.
Well, it's not a tribute. It's not a tribute. It's a cover. It's a cover.
Yeah, but the cover, in essence, is a tribute because you're like, oh, I really like this.
All right, but let's define it in the debate because we're using semantics and different definitions. I'm saying a tribute is when
You're
playing
listen,
identical.
You're
to
trying to say that I don't put my spin
You
on
don't. But there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm
Is also what
disagreeing
I'm
with it.
saying. Oh, so there is something wrong with it.
I'm disagreeing with your opinion. My opinion is that I do put my spin on it. And your opinion is that I don't.
You know what? You do put your spin on it, but you don't put your style on it. Your spin is that you're playing the instrument and it's cleaner and it's heavy and maybe you put a solo on it. But that doesn't necessarily mean your writing style is in that song. That's my anus.
Is he,
And again, this is not a judgment on your right. I'm just saying, in my humble opinion, I don't believe you're putting your style into the cover. I think you're putting your flair or whatever you just said.
and I humbly accept your opinion and disagree.
So you're saying the song sounds like you wrote it, even though you earlier said if I wrote it, it would sound completely different.
Because it would not be that song.
So you agree.
But then that defeats the purpose of doing a cover.
Oh, so people who do it in their own style are not technically doing a cover, as per your argument before, where you said a cover is however they want to do it. You said that. You said a cover.
But the essence of the song is always gonna be there.
It should be there, correct. But if you change it, it's not there anymore.
No, not at all. But
So
you're
you're saying-
no. You're making a completely different argument.
No,
You're saying
I'm
if
using
the-
your
if
words
the song-
against you.
No, you're saying if the song wasn't there to begin with, there's nothing to go off of. So I would obviously write a different song because I don't think how that person writes.
Mhm.
It is impossible for two people to write the same exact song the same exact way because two people on the planet, nobody thinks the same exact way or feels the same exact way because each person is an individual.
Have you ever heard Typo Negative's Black Sabbath, or Typo Negative's Paranoid, or Typo
But it
Negative's
still sounds-
Beatles? It does not. Wait, have you heard it? Let's get the Tootsie thing out of the way.
Let's see.
When the girl was telling me the purpose of Tootsie, and then I asked if she's seen it, she goes, "No, I never saw it." And I was like, "Why are you having this conversation with me if you've never seen the movie? There's no way you know what it's about then." I know it's about. Yeah, you know it's about an hour and a half long. That's a show. So, have you ever heard Typo Negative's versions of Black
I
Sabbath?
have heard the Black Sabbath version.
Not the one from NIB, because they have a different one.
Then I'm going to go with maybe because I'm not sure.
So, and I think on NIB, didn't they do NIB? I think they cover NIB. Or no, who?
I don't know. I don't
Doesn't
know
matter.
what source this is off of, so I can't give you.
It's off their albums. Like they have albums they did, and they do.
Then I have no idea.
They even did like a medley of like Beatles songs. Anyway, if you listen to him, because he's like a huge, well, he was a huge Beatles fan. But if you listen to those songs, they have both your arguments in there. The first one was the argument for, and the one was the argument against. It's like their own thing. And then he was saying kind of like, you had two arguments. Your original position was that a cover is anything they want to do with it. And then he was saying it's not a cover if it doesn't sound like the original song.
It's not.
That's what I'm just trying to understand.
I'm not saying that it's not a cover if it doesn't sound like the original song. I'm just saying that without the original song there, like there's some sort of essence about the original song that's going to be there.
Yeah.
So if the song didn't exist at all, there's no way that like somebody else would have written that song. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So no matter what, no matter how you're doing it, there's always going to be an essence of that song, unless you're just like, oh, let me rewrite everything and just write a completely different song. And it's like, oh, that's like, oh, let me do it. Let me do a cover of Paranoid, and you're like, let me just rewrite this entire chord structure. Let me write all the lyrics, and now it's I want to hold your hand by the Beatles, but it's a cover of Paranoid.
Well, that would be insane because
It would be,
the foundation of the song should still be there.
but it's always going to have the essence of the song. Sorry, for the people on the radio, I just did a.
He just did he karate chopped the air, and I actually heard it. I'm listening. It's so scary when you do that. What's the total? Oh. My point is, with that said, though, I feel you keep the essence of the song as pure as possible when you cover it.
I'll agree to that.
And that's my point. It doesn't sound like you because the purest form of the song still exists. It's that song with slight alterations, being you're a better player than majority of the covers you do. You have a very specific tone you utilize. You can't write drums.
I think that's where the argument comes between you and I. I think that keeping the essence of the song, for me, is important because that's
you don't care about your brand.
I disagree. for doing a cover, I think that's it's important for me to keep that spirit of the song there. But I'm playing it as if I was going to play it. Like when Randy Rhoads plays Black Sabbath,
he changes it.
It still sounds like a Black Sabbath song.
No, it doesn't.
I disagree.
I will literally go to the grave disagreeing with you on this because I have heard the songs.
Would you hang out with the children of the grave?
No. There is no way at all that those songs sound like a Black Sabbath playing Black Sabbath songs.
I agree. It sounds like a Black Sabbath song.
It does, which it should, but it doesn't
core
sound like Black Sabbath.
I agree.
All right, then what's your argument?
That the core and the essence of those songs is still there. You're going to be like, oh, that's a Black Sabbath song, but somebody else is playing.
No, I disagree with that. It
Well,
does not sound
you
like
can
Dream
have your
Theater
own
playing.
opinion.
No. Dream Theater did an identical cover to the Master of Puppets, and also they did Battery and a couple other songs. Identical. That's a fact. When Randy Rhoads plays Black Sabbath songs, it's Randy Rhoads playing Black Sabbath songs.
Agreed, but the essence of those songs is still there. So
Which they should be, but it doesn't sound like a Black Sabbath playing Black Sabbath songs, nor does it sound like it is a Black Sabbath composed song. It sounds like a Randy Rhoads composed song. That's my point. One of your idols, Randy Rhoads, refused to play any cover identical. He refused. In fact, speaking of Black Sabbath, he hated Black Sabbath.
He did.
But besides that, he wanted to play the song. And that's what made his playing so amazing. He could play something that you know is familiar because you hear the foundation, but it's Randy Rhoads playing. The choices he makes. That's my point, where you're not making the choices you make when you write songs, when you're doing a cover. You just play the cover and you add your tone and maybe some of your whittles, which is not an insult. But when Randy plays, the style in which he writes or plays that song is indicative to the way he writes a song that's an original. Because you could listen to those covers.
And I am agreeing with everything you're saying right now.
Yeah. So what's the argument?
I believe that I do that.
That's impossible.
How is it impossible?
Because your style of playing isn't necessarily a part. Your skill of playing is there, but the style in which you write songs is not there.
And I think you and I are going to disagree on this until the day,
I think I'm going to prove my point when you listen to two of your songs directly before one of your songs.
You've done this. You've had me literally play, go and play, and then listen to.
No, I want you to listen to the song. I don't want you to play. I want you to listen. I want you to put the song on, but I don't want you to have to search for the song. I just want the song to play, and then your cover, and then your song to play again. And I'm telling you, there's no way it's going to sound like you wrote that song, which is fine. Again, there is no issue with you writing a song however you want. I'm just saying it does not sound like you are writing that song as a cover. It sounds like you're doing a cover of a song. Again, there's nothing wrong with that.
I get that point.
All right.
I'm just our argument is that
I'm just saying you're a better writer than that. That's all.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
But I'm still saying that it still sounds, in my opinion,
like crap. All right.
Listen, you can have your opinion.
Oh my God.
Obviously wrong. I will have mine.
Look, as far as I know, your opinion is always incorrect. That's not
Except
true.
for right now.
6 times out of 21 times it was correct. We have proof of this.
I'm going to go mark myself for another one.
No, you're wrong.
No, because listen.
You're wrong.
Opinion. There's no way that it could be
It's
right
not
or wrong,
it's-
but it's an opinion.
It's not an opinion when you're. If I go, this wall is green and this one's blue, and they are both orange, I am wrong, and I can prove that the walls are green and blue when it comes to your music, because I heard how amazing your writing is with your original material, and then I hear how bland it is when you're playing a cover because it's the cover. And I think you're a better composer than you give credit for, but you're limiting yourself to, and again, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, if that's what you want to do, just do the hell out of it. I'm just saying, when I hear it, my frustration is I think you could do better. I think you can put your essence in it. But I would say this: if I was your manager, or I was your producer, or if I was someone that was helping maintain your career, and I said, I would go, don't release any of these songs. And you'd be like, why not? And I'd be like, because they sound nothing like you, and that's going to disrupt your brand. Now, if I didn't know what I was talking about, I'd be like, you should just release those songs and see if people will relate those covers to your originals. Do you think they would do that? Do you believe if you release the 3 covers we named and didn't release any original music yet, and then released your original musics, would they be like, oh, these sound identical? Do you agree with that statement?
I think so.
You think, all right, so this is what you should do. Just release 5 brand new cover songs, all right, however you want, and then release one of your songs, and then ask people, does this song sound like those covers? Now, if I'm right, you're going to have to shave my balls. If I'm wrong, you're going to have to shave my nuts. Deal?
I'm just imagining you approaching with a bag of like peanuts and going, shave them. They don't have any hair. Shave them anyway.
All nuts have hair. All nuts have hair. Do you think that the outcome would be that they were like, oh, your song sounds identical to these cover songs?
Well, I think if I released, 5 covers,
yeah, go ahead.
people would assume that I was the cover guy.
It's not that they would assume you were the cover guy. They would assume they were waiting for that sound. Because when you do a cover, it doesn't sound like you. But it's still good. Your covers are great. Like, I love the way it sounds. I like your playing. But it's not you writing the song. And I think they would hear the covers, like the covers, because they sound like the originals of the covers. And then when they hear your song, they'll be disappointed and will think it's a completely different style. Because they'll buy into the quality of those hits already. And then they hear your song, and even though it has the hit quality to it, in my opinion, I don't think it would follow the brand because of those covers. That's my point.
I think, I disagree with the disconnect coming from the writing style. I think that the disconnect would come from the fact that I released 5 covers in a row, and then they'd be like, oh, he's doing an original. Like, some people who would be into the brand overall were like really bought into it. Like, oh, cool, I did this, because they've already bought into the brand. But I think the majority of people would be like, oh, I'm confused because this is not a cover. What is ¿Qué pasa?
Now, when it comes to marketing, what you just said would be 100% wrong.
Why is that?
Because you're basing it off of the song. I'm basing it off of the style, because that's the brand. The way they hear the song is the brand, not necessarily that it's a cover. They don't care that you're playing a cover. The problem comes to the Alien Ant Farm cover. Okay, that's the issue. When they released Smooth Criminal, it was so good. It was so good and very much in their style that it was so different from Michael Jackson. This was the problem. When they did their originals directly after that, like movies, the style in which they played their originals was completely different than the style in which they did Smooth Criminal. That's the inconsistency. They bought into the brand of that style, and their brand of their originals were completely different. Their songs may have been great, but the problem was, they definitely went out the quality of, say, Michael Jackson writing. But more importantly,
It was a different style.
dude, I thought they were a freaking metal band. The way they're, you're hitting those high notes, and then you hear movies. And you're like, what is going on?
Like, this is not metal.
That's an inconsistency in brand style.
I agree. And
That's my point.
believe that I do not have that.
I know, we're going to find that out when you release 5 covers. You could do them however you feel is appropriate. And then you're going to release a brand new original song. And then you're going to ask that question. I just know, if I was your manager, I know what I'm talking about. And I would be like, I have to drop you. I would not represent you. If you were going to release that cover, I would not represent you. As your friend, I think you should release it because it's fun to write music. But I fundamentally believe in my business brain that song does not sound like it is your song. It has your sound as far as your tone, your playing skill is definitely there, but it doesn't sound like you wrote the song. And that's where the fundamental brand difference is. That's what I'm talking about. Smooth Criminal was written by that band. Clearly, they were able to do it. But then they released songs that had nothing to do with that style. And that's the inconsistency. Yes, both songs, both their originals and that song have the same tonality. They both have the playing ability, but the structures and the way they arrange the songs they weren't even close to that, including the style of play. That's my point. But with that said, obviously do whatever you want. However, I do believe you released 5 covers, however you want to do them, and then you released a brand new original song. I do not believe that people will associate those songs as being in your style, personally. Unless, of course, you literally write those 5 covers in your style on purpose to prove me wrong. I'd be like, well, because I would know the difference. I would know if you were arranging, because you have an amazing, some of your things go a little longer, but like the way you go in and out of parts is very specific to you. The way your choices are very similar in all songs, and not in a bad way, but you have a very specific arrangement style. The way I do too. Like anyone who has an original sound, they do. It's just the way you go from something clean or something that has a rhythm or something.
Honestly, I just think verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, chorus.
But again, that's arrangement. What I'm talking about is the style in which you change those arrangements into. So going from the first part to the second part to the third part to the fourth part, you have a very specific way of doing that. Is it good or bad? That's not really for me to say, but it has a specific sound. And I personally think, including the Hell's Bells song, what is it called? The
Carol of the Bells.
Carol of the Bells. It sounds like, even though you changed some of the arrangements, honestly, when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is an identical cover to the original, And I was like, it would have been cool if, you kind of put your little something into it, but you didn't. But like you're saying you did. But I'm saying I know your style. And that song was like sort of just like a pumped up version of the style of the original. And just like arranging it slightly doesn't necessarily mean like, well, I added my little something to it. I know you don't agree with any of this, but I do stand by it. As a professional, I'm literally a professional branding, marketing person who is a producer of music and produces of movies. But I don't make this stuff up, which is the crazy part, because I believe my theory holds strong.
I mean, you're allowed to.
You're stupid bitch.
Listen, I still think that I have put my sound into those covers.
I agree. Your sound is in those covers.
And my style.
Your style is not in those covers. We can literally listen to it and be like, ask 5 people, we go, does this sound like the original? And they're going to say yes. If they say yes, that proves my point. It's not supposed to sound like the original. It's supposed to sound like you doing a cover. All you got to do is say, does this sound like the original? If they say no, you win.
I would love to have that test. Play the original of Every Time We Touch.
Yeah.
And then play my version of Every Time We Touch.
All right, sounds good to me. Now, just because it's updated and one is heavy and one has more diddle-diddles doesn't necessarily mean it's in your style. That's part of the rule, though. When we listen to it, you're like, there's no heavy guitars. I'm like, doesn't matter. That's not what I'm talking about. That's because we're talking about style.
I got you.
But not going, well, I hit distortion there and I
you.
solo here.
I understand.
And I put a melody there.
I got you.
Oh, okay. And also, you can't go, well, mine's an instrumental.
Well, it's not. There's actually going to be vocals.
I know.
And it'll be a duet.
With who?
Not me.
Did you ever get the vocals from them?
Not yet.
Oh, so going back to collaboration. When did you ask these people to get the vocals to you?
At least 4 years ago. I'm kidding.
No, how long? A week ago?
We did the math earlier.
We have it on a calendar.
We do.
This is gonna be fun. I'm winning that argument, by the way, because I've literally written the lyrics and my part. I'm just cleaning up my part before I show it. But my point is,
This is our different stuff.
I still waited. Look, man, collaboration and loyalty. I know I want to enjoy this, and so I put time into it. That's the idea of that's the loyalty, is that let's work together, right? And I will say this, by the way, your first part versus my first part, you can tell you wrote the first part and I wrote the second part because of style, and that's a very important point to make because that's my argument.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, can't be like, oh, well, because our parts are together, it sounds like, they're the same parts, right? They're very distinct. There is a stylized way of writing. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I just won the argument.
No.
So you're saying you did not write the song identical to the original. The arrangements are different? Like you move parts around, or you change the formation of parts or the fluidity of the parts?
The parts, arrangement wise,
Are
are identical, but how they are played in my style.
What's your style?
I don't know how to put my.
How can you tell me if it's not then?
I can just be like, oh, this is what I would do.
What would you do?
What I did.
What did you do?
A lot of different things. I didn't just play chords.
All right. We gotta start. It's been 2 hours of insanity. I think
Listen, we're being loyal to the conversation.
we definitely were. I want to point out, because no one can see this right now until the YouTube video comes out, but JD's face was going through many emotions of disagreement, and then I feel enlightenment. Like, I feel like you started almost believing my argument, and you were like, I have to fight and resist.
No,
Because he's making good points.
No, it just got to the point where you were so adamant about your opinion that I'm like, am I really like? Does this really sound like not me? But I honestly believe that it sounds like me playing those.
It does. Absolutely.
It sounds like I wrote those parts. The way I play them, it sounds like I would have written them.
They do. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
The parts sound like you wrote them, and it does sound like you're playing them. But it does not sound like you wrote the song.
Kind of like how when Randy Rhoads plays Black Sabbath songs, it sounds like Black Sabbath wrote it, but it sounds like
No,
I wrote it.
It sounds like he wrote it. Have you heard the live album? I want to play it now on the show just to prove a point. There's no way it sounds like Tony Iommi
It is arranged.
wrote what Randy Rhoads played.
It is arranged in the same
I'm
order.
not talking about
Will you
arrangements.
let me finish?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're talking about a different point, but carry on.
No. You just brought up things being arranged in the same exact order. So I'm saying everything is arranged in the same exact order the way Randy Rhoads plays it. But he plays the parts as if he wrote the parts.
As if he wrote the song. The way he plays those parts to the fluidity of the original, which is fine, is in his style.
I agree.
His writing style.
But it sounds like he's playing a Black Sabbath song his way.
Yeah, yes, that's my point. It
And
sounds
I'm
like
saying
he is playing the song as if he wrote it. It just so happens it's a Black Sabbath song.
So,
Have you ever heard him play?
yes!
I know you have. That's why I'm
But it doesn't sound like
astonished.
he wrote the song.
Really?
Yes!
So you can listen to that live album, right? Which is a great live album. It's a great live album. Okay. And you can say, what is this, Black Sabbath playing?
No.
And then compare it to, say, Blizzard of Oz, and be like, oh, these don't sound like they're the same album. They
It
sound
sounds like the same
different people.
guitar player, but I know.
Do you know why?
So, you're saying that my playing, how I play the songs in those covers,
No, how you write is not
we're
there.
we're having two different arguments now.
No, you're having an argument with yourself.
No.
If you keep bringing up his style of playing. I feel he plays those songs like he wrote them.
All right, so my argument then, using your words, is
Yeah.
that I play the Every Time We Touch cover as if I wrote those parts. You can disagree with me, but I'm saying that's how I feel with that cover.
That's fine. I agree with you in the sense that it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, I think you're comparing oranges with apples now because there's no way that live album sounds like Black Sabbath wrote those songs.
I disagree.
You can disagree all you want. There are a million people out there that go, ooh, that sounds nothing like Black Sabbath.
Yeah, because it sounds like he's playing it, but it
Yes!
sounds like they wrote the song.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
All right. I think we're gonna.
I told
end
you.
this conversation.
I don't make this stuff up, but he's definitely making some of this up.
I'm definitely not making.
You're making up. You're telling me Randy Rhoads plays like Tony Iommi.
No, that's not what I said.
Do you say that those songs he plays that are Black Sabbath songs don't sound like any songs on Blizzard of Oz?
It sounds like
What? Go ahead.
Black Sabbath wrote those songs.
Great, but doesn't.
And it sounds like Randy Rhoads is playing those songs.
Can you put those songs, that album, next to Blizzard of Oz and be like, these are two different people
Physically playing?
that wrote these songs?
Yes,
You can.
because
Now I know you didn't hear the album.
no, because that if you were to take Paranoid
Yeah, let's take it.
structure-wise,
But we're not talking about
arrangement-wise,
structure.
it sounds nothing like Crazy Train. It sounds nothing like Revelation Mother.
Yes, it does. The way he plays those chords and the way he moves those chords, and then his
That's
solo.
his style of playing, but
Exactly.
we're having to do a conversation.
No, we're not.
I think we're gonna put a pin in this conversation.
Next episode, next Sunday is gonna be. We're gonna show you examples of both albums, and I'm gonna prove my points that it sounds like Randy Rhoads
It's playing
came
the
right
Black
up with-
Sabbath song,
That's my point.
and I'm saying I'm doing the same thing, and you're disagreeing with me.
Because his style is in those Sabbath songs, as
Yeah,
if
but
he
it's-
wrote them.
But it sounds like Black Sabbath songs.
Yeah, because they are Black Sabbath songs, but the way he writes them and plays them sounds like Randy Rhoads composed them. Just those stylized version of how he jumps over chords and everything.
I'm disagreeing because I think if it sounds like you composed the song, it's no longer a cover. It's just
What is it? What is it? Because now you're disagreeing with your earlier self, where you said a cover is anything somebody wants to do with it. That's what you
I
said.
think it is impossible to make that happen because if you change it to the point where it doesn't sound like the original song, like you can't do that.
So you don't agree with your younger self in this conversation, where you said a cover is when somebody
can do
does
it how-
anything they want to do.
Yes, you can do it however you want, but I think that I think it's impossible to take the total essence out of a cover song.
Well, you shouldn't take the essence out of the cover song because then it's not a cover song. You're writing an original.
Yeah,
But the essence should be there, but the way you play and write should be represented in that song.
yes,
Yeah, I agree.
we're agreed.
So I'm right.
No, because
So how, see,
No,
we're right back to no.
the argument is saying that I don't do that, and I'm saying that I do.
All right, you do it.
Gavel down.
Yeah, he does it. All right, I'm just gonna give it away. It's fine. You do it. You do it. Just release those 5 covers for me.
I don't have 5 covers.
You're gonna have to make 5 covers to prove my point.
Why do I have to prove the point?
Because anyway,
Yeah.
get on my head. So I want to say I like this conversation because this is the most we've seen of JD really come out, and I appreciate it. This was like a real conversation. Like you got a little heated, you got a little frustrated, you're a little like everything came out.
I got a little rosy cheek.
Little rosy cheek, but
It's kind of warm in here.
yeah, it was less like subject matter and more like, no, this is your point. This is a good. We have good rhetoric.
You did.
Yeah, I'm glad I was right. All right, so goodbye. That's it. I was right. Good night. Bye. Anyway, BBR Productions.
Oh yeah, and also Altanian on Witch Drugs.
That's a long title of a lot no one can spell. Yeah, if you want to see his stuff, just go to makearightleftyou.com. And if you want to see Al Tanning or anything on me, just go to makearightleftyou.com. No. If you want to see all his amazing covers that sound identical to his style, because he's playing it, go to, where do you go? On the Wings of Dragons.
Yep.
That's it. You'll hear.
Which is funny because one of the covers are actually
Which is good. That's a healthy thing. I don't think they should be healthy.
Oh god.
Anyway, I'm gonna cover a song later, identical and then call it a Tenebra song.
Well, that's just plagiarism.
Actually, when I write Tenebra songs for Altanian, I alter them and I rewrite them, but the essence of the song is still there. So it's technically a cover of Tenebra from the original writer of Tenebra, which is crazy.
Can you do a polka version?
Yeah, I've poked it.
No, like the style of polka.
You're a style of poker.
I wish.
I think Evie's here. Evie, you here?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing in the kitchen? Are you hiding?
Yes.
You can come on out. You're allowed to. I'm like, her car, is that her car out there? I just see it now. I'm like, I thought I heard someone walk to the door, but like the sound in my head was
We got caught up in
fire.
conversation.
Yeah, I had so much anger. You didn't tell me Randy Rhoads sounds just like Black Sabbath.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you did.
No, I
You
didn't.
said he's playing songs that sound like Black Sabbath songs.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's
Anyway, bye everybody.
all right. Are you telling me? All right, bye.
Click.